What is restorative justice? How is it even related to prison? How is it related to probation? What does it mean for the offender and what does it mean for the victim? I'm going to go through all of this in my little explainer video for those of you who are currently studying probation studies, criminal justice, criminology, forensic psychology, and you just want to know what it is. My name is Sarah Edwards. I am an ex-probation officer. I used to work for the Ministry of Justice and I'm now a psychology and criminology tutor and coach. So I can help you if you want to increase your grades, if you are struggling, and if you want to know exactly how to pass the probation officer assessment. I've got plenty of videos for you. So let's get into this one about what is restorative justice. So as with all my videos, I like to give you just the real life explanation. So I'm not going to be giving you the academic version or the version that you will see on any organisational website. I'm just going to tell you as if I was just standing there next to you at uni or in the office at work or at home, and just tell you what my experience of restorative justice is as a probation officer. So restorative justice, from my perspective, from what I saw, is the offender commits a crime and they've been to court, and maybe at court they would be ordered to take part in restorative justice. They may also be able to take part in this once they're already in prison or once they're already on probation as like a add-on. It doesn't have to be given at court. So my experience was I was working with a service user who had committed burglary. He was quite young, under 23, and the purpose of the restorative justice was given so that he could actually see the impact that his behaviour had on someone, because often with crimes like burglary, they're kind of victimless in that the victims were not there, the victims were not actually home. So he had climbed over the fence, it was a row of like terraced houses. He'd climbed over the fence, saw the opportunity, went in the house, stole something and came out again. So there was no victim. So for that young person, it's kind of a win for him. He's got out with some stuff he can sell, he's impressed his mates, he's maybe got a bit of money for it to, sell his drugs or whatever. He hasn't had to face the family who were living there. And if any of you have been a victim of crime, of burglary specifically, you will know that it affects you emotionally. The fact that someone has been in your house, has gone through your belongings. Sometimes it's not even the fact that the belongings were taken. It's the fact that someone has been in your house. So the whole purpose of that restorative justice was to get that young person to actually see how his actions have impacted. And what better way than to actually work towards a meeting between the offender and the victim. I hope that explains kind of what it is and why they do it. So the whole process, so between that particular young person. So first of all, you have to initiate contact with the victim, and in probation we have specific victim liaison officers, and at that time we actually had a restorative justice specialist, but I know that is quite rare. That was just in our office. So they would initiate contact and say, okay, the court has ordered restorative justice order, this is what it is, and they would write to the victim, make phone contact with the victim, and may even do a home visit to the victim just to explain what it is. Normally the victim is on board. If I was a victim, I've never have been a victim of burglary, if I was a victim of that, I think I would want to know what is going on in the mind of that person who has just burgled my house. So normally they're quite amenable to it. So then as well, you would explain that to the offender that you're working with, so that they know fully what's going on and that they know what to expect as well. And also that they know to expect that maybe they may not get a response. So the first thing, you do a bit of victim work with them before anything happens. So it's standard stuff that we do like in programs or one-to-one stuff with people to try to increase their awareness. And then with that person, we got him to write a letter. And in that letter, it was up to him to really put forward his feelings about it, why he done it, and how he feels about the offence. This not only helps him, it helps him actually process what has actually happened, to go through, to kind of relive it, retrace the steps, and to actually see what is going on in his life that he has done that. And it can also help you process the shame surrounding your offences, your offending as well, and just reflect on that. Because I think sometimes you don't always have that space to reflect on that. And then obviously it's good for the victims because they are going to receive this letter and start understanding, and it can help them start processing. Once the offender has actually written the letter, it will then be, discussed with the victim if they want to receive that letter, because each step of the process, it is a long process. They may say at the beginning, yeah, I'm really interested. And then, as people do, they go backwards and forwards in their thinking and their thoughts. It might get to that stage and they're like, actually, I'm not ready to receive the letter, or I don't want to anymore. So you always need to check with them. If the victim says yes, then obviously the letter will get sent to them. And then from there, the victim may want to do a reply, or you can then start to arrange a face-to-face meeting with them. And it will be done in somewhere neutral, like community centre or the probation office. It wouldn't be in the victim's home. And in that case, so you would have the victim, it may be, the victim, two victims, if it's husband and wife. But you will have the victims there, and they will meet with the offender with a restorative justice member as well. So it wouldn't just be them on their own, and they would be facilitating it. So they would be there maybe like leading the discussion, asking questions and prompts to kind of encourage like a productive session. And if I remember rightly, there will be some kind of like debrief with both to see if everything was okay. In that particular example that I was talking about, it didn't actually get to the meeting, it just stopped at the letter. And that can happen quite a lot of times, that actually sometimes the letter is enough and people do not want to actually see the offender. It's been mainly used for lower end offences like burglary, theft, that kind of thing. But I have seen it in academic literature about being used for more serious offences like murder. And again, you have to remember for things like murder or, more serious violent and sexual offences, there has been, a loss in the family, a significant amount of emotional harm and emotional trauma. So the victim may not always be ready. Even if the offender might have processed it and had his time in prison, the victim still may not be at that stage. But you still go through the same process of checking with the victim, and it would start with a letter eventually to a meet-up. So I did work with one sex offender. Again, he was a young person. I don't know if they tend to use it more on young people or not, or if that's just been my experience. But he was, in a young offenders thing. I think he was 21. He had committed rape on a female who was like a teenager, and he wanted to write the letter to her. So you again have to balance, okay, we know you want to write the letter, but she may not want to receive it. But just the process of writing the letter can really help the offender process their feelings, their thoughts, help deal with the shame. So even if it's not sent, it can still be a good process. So in my experience working in probation, so even before I was a probation officer, I didn't really see restorative justice being used that much, but I do really see that there is a big benefit for both parties with restorative justice, and even for more serious offences, because it really helps you actually put yourself in the other person's shoes. Maybe the offender has even been a victim of something themselves, and it just helps them bring them back to reality and see, wow, my actions have actually affected a real person, a real family. Even small things like after a burglary, you know, you may have to take time off work. It's going to inconvenience your family life. You know, it's going to put your insurance premiums up. Just telling someone that, it's going to go over their head. But if they actually see what it is like, it really does have more of an impact. So I hope that's helped you understand from just a real life perspective what restorative justice is. If you want more of these videos, put it in the comments and I can go through them for you. If you are studying criminology or psychology and you feel like you need help, that you're struggling, or you really want that real life experience that you're not getting through the academics, then all my links are below. You can join my programs where I can really help you elevate your writing and prepare you for the real world of criminal justice and forensic psychology.